Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week, I'm joined by Cinders.
Hello. Hello?
Hello there. And Sanswinda.
Hello, everybody.
Hello there. Are you all ready for this week's news, which I must admit isn't all that much?
I think I'm ready.
All right. Then let's head into the beta patch notes because we had update 49 beta number 6, which I believe is going to be the final beta for this particular update, where they are continuing on to getting out the last few kinks that they have in it, including several updates to the Garden of Corpses. I suspect that this is to help to fix some issues that were in Tier 3 and maybe one or two other things in there. I don't understand the instance well enough in order to know all that they're talking here. Do you guys ever have trouble remembering the names of some of these bosses? Because I always have trouble remembering the names of those bosses. Which boss is which?
Right?
When they're wailing on us, I really don't care who's who.
Oh, you care? Is that that nasty that's bashing on our skulls?
Yes, and the only time it actually matters is when you approach and there's more than one at a time, and they're like, okay, you need to take down this one before this one before this one. Or you tank this one and we'll burn the others. And then, like, okay, I can do this. But usually they don't use their whole names because they're hard to pronounce. They just pick a letter. Like HMK. Okay.
Yeah, I think the majority of the time when you say a letter or something that's distinctive about them, like if there is a mark above their heads or the like, you just do it, or the one that's in red versus the one in green, or whatever
Yep.
may identify them so that you can tell which is which. And I'm guaranteed that no matter what you say, I'm guaranteed to forget it halfway through the battle.
Yep.
Right, we also had several updates to items and rewards. Legendary items for characters at level 160 will now be advanceable after the update to 565. The currently on live it's 560, so there'll be a 5-step increase for how high you can make your legendary items. I guess that's probably going to be. That sounds usual when they get along to getting near an expansion, something like that. So there'll probably be another bump, I would say, when the expansion comes out.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
Adventures in Travelers Steelbound loot boxes cosmetics have been rotated, so there'll be new items inside of there. And Adventures in Travelers Steelbound loot boxes also now contain Hornburg Defender cosmetic armor and Reading and Hobbit Dance 3 emotes. And of course, some new things for Myrtle Mint as we're coming to the cap level for featured instance packages. Azure, Crimson, Malachite, Marigold, Amethyst, Obsidian boxes of Ancient Treasure. When opened at level 160 characters, will now have a chance to drop Murjala Craft and Heraldry recipe selections. All right. And Ill Omens has a refreshed reward for defeating the Harbingers of the Dead, completing the event's climatic quest, and now grants you essence bounty tailored to your level, including full support for level 160 characters and our level 105 legendary server characters. And the event's cosmetic vendor has also added 3 new rewards, 2 new cosmetic companion pets, and a new housing decoration. So I guess I'll have to have a look at those when I head over to Netta and find out what's going on. I suspect, though, that the event itself is probably going to be the same harbingers that you fight that randomly appear in the middle of your skirmish. Well, actually, at various points of the skirmish, depending on which skirmish you're running. For crafting and hobbies, captains can now disenchant gear from T11 to T14 for receipt of armaments exchange. Okay. We really need Crystal on that one to translate that particular note. Perhaps he'll be here next week so that he could bring out his 2 cents on the matter. As for PvP, there are, of course, the final tweaks before the release there. And landscape and adventure areas. Frostbluff, Westmead, and Furtherhome can now be accessed outside of festival seasons from Thorns Gate, Kellendam, Mickeldelving, Mossward, and Breetown's West Gate. Note, while accessible, most all content in these will not be accessible outside of their usual festival periods. Okay, when they say most all I would presume that's so that you could maybe, since obviously all the quests are going to be shut down, is the idea to get there to maybe use your currencies or something like that, that you may have missed the end date and want to get there for that? Or anyone know the reason why?
Uh, I don't know.
I know some people have been complaining about it not being accessible, but I can't remember
Maybe
the
so you
reason.
don't have to continue taking a map base for them. Because, like, before you could have logged out there and gotten kind of, I guess, quote unquote, stuck. But you can always milestone out, so you weren't stuck.
Okay.
So I don't know.
And speaking of that, Frostbluff, Westmead, and Furtherhome now have milestones available.
Woo-hoo-hoo. That's pretty cool.
Okay. And of course, several tweaks to the UI, including localization. And that's it for it. We'll be doing probably a more in depth reading of notes next week when they have the actual release.
Fair. Do you know what those places need now, Pine Leaf?
What? What, Sharp?
Campfires.
Oh, campfires.
Or hunter ports.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't think they'll have hunter ports there, but maybe a
No, but a
campfire.
campfire would be pretty cool.
Okay. And I would presume you mean the type of campfire that's
That the
used as a
hunter
hunter
can
port, as opposed to
port
the
to.
one where you cook one.
Right. And of course, you'd have to make the choice like, do I move it from the party tree to here? Is it worth it? But it would be interesting.
And that's it for the Bulwer updates. So now we have one other announcement that was made by Standing Stone Games, and that is that Tier 3 of the Corpse Garden has been temporarily closed. I suspect that many of the tweaks that have been made to the Corpse Garden are were made in order to help to address the reasons why they closed it. So tiers 1 and 2 are still up, but tier 3 has been temporarily closed. And they expect it to reopen. Let me make sure I've got the right wording here as to what they say, and that is that the adjustments will be available for testing on Bulwer this week and will be included in the release of Update 49 next week. So, yes, the adjustments were the ones that were added to it for this. And that means that next week is Update 49, and that is going to be including all those PvP updates, the fixes for Corpse Garden Tier 3, and the Skirmish event. I can't think of too much more. Yes, I know we have this big extensive list here that we have, bug fixes and stuff like that, but that's pretty much the gist of what's going on for the update. The Sorceress, the Delving of Frar, various Entmore's updates, Skirmish event, and a couple of tweaks to an instance. So I suppose any of you excited over the upcoming updates to PvP?
I am curious, but I haven't been on PvP recently enough to be super excited about this.
Okay.
It might convince me to go try it again, though.
I'm in the same boat as Sans with that.
Then we have to see what kind of reports we have next week. Or if what, there was an update last week? Let's head into our store sales. Cinders, what's on sale this week?
On sale this week, we have Unleash Your Potential and get 25% off Deed Boosts, Universal Solvents, Universal Morale, and Power Potions through July 23rd. And the free coupon this week is for a free Indigo die with the coupon code The Blues, no spaces, now through July 23rd as well.
All right. Then let's have a look at what you did in your garden this week. What's your latest Sincerely Cinders article?
So I actually did get out into the garden this week and I pulled weeds and discovered that I've got corn and beans and I think they're watermelons. One of them might be a zucchini up. I've got carrots up and some that decided to escape their line and go across the garden instead of going along their row. The tomatoes have started to come onto the vine. They're not changing colors yet. I've got lettuce up. I've got strawberries coming back on with the ever-bearing ones. And just generally lots of life in the garden. And then I did some housework and things like that to prep for the tea party that happened earlier today that will be in next week's Sincerely Cinders.
Okay, and so looks like the top 3 images you've got are of your
Yes.
garden.
It's been so hot that I had to do it in stages. So I did take a before picture and then I pulled weeds and then it was actually too wet at that moment. Like standing water almost as I was pulling the weeds. I was like, okay, I need to let things dry out a little bit. So I took a little bit of a break and went back out and pulled weeds. And then it was so stinking hot. I was like, forget this. And then I was done. But it was, you can see the progression on how far I got with getting it taken care of. So I do need to figure out how to get tomatoes to stand up correctly like they're supposed to. But that's a problem for next year because they're already all, their stems are all wonky now. And so if I try to straighten them out, they'll snap.
Is that why some people put poles on with tomato plants?
I think so, but last year I tried the stakes with wires to help hold them up and it just bushed out. It didn't. And so I think there must be a way of attaching it to get it to go up straight, but I don't know what that is. So my dad promised to show me this next year. But
okay.
In the meantime, I just have to keep them out of the dirt and away from the bugs.
And away from the bugs, yes. I guess that's
easier said than done. And it's not insincerely cinders, but it should be. I got a slug getter, is what it's called, and it looks like a frog. And you put beer in the bottom of it, and then you stick it out in your garden, and the slugs go in, and then they drown.
It's I've awesome. Heard of drowning in alcohol, but usually it's in a less literal sense.
And apparently they really like the smell of the yeast that's in it. And beer
Okay.
doesn't require like extra effort. So you just go and buy the cheapest beer that you can and you put it in and then you put it out in your garden and it's got like a frog cover on it. So you put the cover on and it looks like a frog out in your garden. And it then you check on it and when the slugs have drowned, you throw them away and refill it
So
and off you go.
so slugs don't have a natural tendency to shy away from frogs then if they're disguising it as a frog?
Apparently not.
Right. Then let us then head into our new player questions for this week. Since Winda, what's on store?
Well, this week we are talking about groups and fellowships. So, how do you find a group if you want to do something?
How do I find a group? Well,
Honestly, I ask in my kin if my
yeah,
friends
that's
aren't
pretty
online.
much it. If I really need to do something that requires a group, then yeah, I'm asking a kin or a member of some other standing group I'm in. It's either that or it's because somebody asked me.
Right? And when I wrote this question, I was still pretty new to LOTRO and just barely starting to make friends. So this was a really, really daunting question, and I found that it's become much easier now. But you can also put it into even just say if you're in the same area as somebody and it looks like they might be doing the same sort of thing that you want to be doing, you can say, hey, do you want to group up? And they might say yes. And that's one way to find a group too.
Okay.
Do you have to have any idea what you're doing to lead a group? No. And yes.
Yeah,
So,
it is a bit of both. Yes, you're right.
uh, to lead a group, as in the game thinks you're in charge and leading the group, all you have to do is invite somebody else to join your group, and suddenly you're the leader.
Because we
Actually
want to
accomplish what you're
be.
trying to accomplish, it helps to know what you're doing or be able to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing who's in your group. But no, to put a group together, you don't have to have any idea what you're doing. And if you're in a group of people who don't have any idea what you're doing, that's fine too. Just go have fun. You'll figure it out, or you'll look online and figure it out.
Or I remember one time where, one of the first times I organized a group, it was it was a raid run of Trouble in Tuckborough on New Year's Day, right? And it was my 1,000th at level skirmish. So I managed to organize things and I managed to get everyone together, but I had no idea at the time how do you actually run a group. Fortunately, if you're really lucky, someone's there is willing to pick up where you're left off. Would be willing to, let's say, take over. So I think it still had me nominally as leader, but the someone else was pretty much guiding us through the entire thing on there, thankfully, who actually had an idea of what they were doing and trying to keep a raid together and operate together as a group. I knew the skirmish left and right, of course, but doing it as a raid, that's an entirely different matter. And leading said raid is an entirely
It's
different
even,
matter.
yep. Um, so what does it mean to lead a group anyway? And is this the same as being the fellowship leader?
Well, I think that example I just gave is the case. It's not necessarily. It's just that I
Right?
was fellowship leader or raid leader, I guess, nominally, but right, someone else was effectively was actually leading the group.
So typically the effective leader of the group, whether it be a fellowship or a raid, or a small fellowship, or even a duo group, um, the effective leader is the one who can tell you what's going on and how to be ready for it, and where to go, and what to do.
Right. Now it
And
does.
they emerge rather organically as needed.
Yes. Now it does help if the same person is the group leader, shall we say, I mean the actual leader and the fellowship leader. That's because the fellowship leader has certain tools available through the interface. And which case, if someone is actually doing the real leadership of it, it might be a good idea to transfer fellowship leader to them so that they could do things because it's the person who will probably be inviting people. Though in raids, they can create raid assists who
Yep.
invite other people in there.
And it
Then,
might be that you're in a situation where the person who knows the people to invite and the person who knows the thing that you're about to do are two different people.
or two
In
completely
which
different.
case, the person who's inviting can do all the inviting and then transfer leadership.
Yeah, that happens pretty often also.
So,
But but the fellowship leader, they're the ones who could mark enemies, for example, or various people in there, so that we could tell who is who under certain circumstances. And sometimes that's useful in order to determining what you are going to be doing. Though I would say the groups I'm in, we might occasionally mark the players just for ease of seeing, but other than that,
sometimes it's nice to be able to find your guardian quickly or find your healer quickly.
right. But some
Um,
may go through the thing about marking enemies. So you say, okay, yeah, you take the sword enemy first, then you take the shield enemy, then you take the cheesy poof.
yep. So what is a fellowship leader? And really, that's the person who puts the fellowship together or who has leadership transferred to them.
Right.
How can you tell who is the fellowship leader? Their dot is yellow instead of green.
Also, if it's a fellowship as opposed to a raid, then everybody is in one. Because in a raid, your group is divided into multiple fellowships. You know who the leader of the fellowship is because unless you're the fellowship leader, the person who appears below you in the list of characters. When I say below you, because okay, at least normally I have my my portrait, and underneath it I have the portraits of the rest of the fellowship. Whoever is on top of that list is the fellowship leader.
They
So the
get a
fellowship
kind
leader
of
goes.
little star button thing next to them too. It's not like a 5-point star. It's more like a old-fashioned button that identifies them in your list too.
Okay, I guess either I'm not too sure what you're saying, or I haven't noticed this button before.
I'm pretty sure it's a really small little I don't know, scalloped circle. Maybe more than star. We'll have to test it, but I'm pretty
Okay,
sure
well
that
that's test
happens.
it. Okay, as I said, I usually go by whoever is immediately below my portrait, since I place all the since I place the portrait list below my character. The problem is, of course, that doesn't tell you in a raid because it's going to be the top person in whichever group they're in.
Right. Um, what can the fellowship leader do? They can add people to the fellowship. I think they can kick people out of the fellowship,
Yeah, they can kick people out of the fellowship.
and they can mark players or enemies. Is there in a raid they can do ready check?
Well, you can do that in a fellowship also.
Oh, sweet! I'll have to try
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you can do. Yeah, they can do ready checks in there. Essentially, the idea there is that
It'll pop up a window on everybody's screen asking if they're ready,
yep,
and then you can tell even if you're not in voice chat or able to type quickly, you can tell that everybody's actually at their keyboard ready to go.
yeah, and you could also set up a fellowship maneuver
Oh yeah,
So
you can tell them which fellowship maneuver to do.
yeah, what fellowship maneuver we are attempting to do, and every single leader seems to have their own opinion as to what's the optimal fellowship maneuver to attempt.
Right. And probably the leader at that point will tell you which one you are too and who you're following if it doesn't work the first time organically. Because it might not.
Yeah, it sometimes can be, unless you're doing like a simple flush or something like that.
Right. Some of them get complicated. If you join a fellowship for. Oh, do you think is the most important thing for a fellowship leader to do? Communicate.
Yeah. What do you think is the most important thing for a fellowship leader? Yeah, I guess that sort of tracks, which
Yeah. I mean, because a fellowship leader who doesn't say anything is probably not going to be the leader for very long because people just drop out.
or somebody takes over.
Or somebody else will take over. Um, and it's okay. Like, if you can't talk or whatever, you can always like put in chat, can't talk. But yeah, if you just put a group together and are completely silent and don't even chat after that, it'll be hard for the group to stay together.
Right.
If you join a fellowship for questing, is there a way to see who's where on what quests? How?
All right.
Yeah,
And
you can see, kind of.
it's kind of, yes.
In a
We do
fellowship,
check.
you can see more than you can in a raid.
Yeah, because all the fellowship tools are geared for up to 6 people.
Um, in a fellowship, whether you're the leader or not the leader, if you hit open your quest log and you open the quest, it'll show you a series of signs underneath. You might have grayed out rings, that means nobody else has the quest. You might see gold rings, that means everybody else is on the same quest. You might see fast forward arrows, and if you mouse over it, it'll tell you that means that the person, and it'll tell you which person is further along in the quest chain. And you might see rewind arrows, and if you mouse over that, it'll tell you that the person, and it'll tell you which person, is further behind in the quest chain. And I think it'll tell you what the quest they're on.
It's sometimes ambiguous as to exactly whether.
How far?
Right. And you could also get an X, which means that they're not eligible for the quest.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And if they're just grayed out and the share button is active, you can share the quest with them to simplify getting everybody on the same page. It doesn't work for all quests, but it's handy for the quests it works for.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
If you have questions about grouping and fellowships and raids, feel free to send it to us at podcast@lotraplayers.com. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or leave it in a comment on the show, and we'll see if we can address it.
Thank you, Sans. So let's get into our week in Lotro. Cinders, what were you up to?
I was not in Lotro. But I did Lotro adjacent real life stuff. I did Stardew Valley with Pineleaf, Stardew Valley with Pineleaf and Krister. I did patch Lotro because I heard something about ill omens coming and wanted to be prepared for going skirmishing.
Okay, but there's going to be a patch next week before you know that.
I know, but you mentioned it, so I made sure
Yeah.
to be caught up on patching things so that it won't be a long patch.
Okay, that makes sense.
Unnecessarily long. And then I spent my time doing the tea party prep and experimenting with scones. So I made raspberry oatmeal scones, I made chocolate chip scones, and I made a cheesy, savory scone that is theoretically a Mary Berry scone. It didn't come out of Mary Berry cookbook, so I don't know if it was Mary Berry scone for real, but it tasted good. And
Okay.
so that was what I did. So experimentation with scones, which I have been informed are not British scones, but look very much like American scones. So obviously, before I call them LOTRO scones,
Okay.
or try to
So,
mimic the ones in LOTRO, I need to figure out what British ones look like.
okay,
But
here's my question then. That means that this week you've spent your time farming and playing games that made it look like you're farming.
yes, I've farming and cooking. So I've been working on my real life Lotro skills for crafting.
Okay.
Farming and cooking. That's what I've been up to. Sans, how about you?
This week, we finally found characters to play on the field trip, and I pulled in my level 53 Guardian, who has leveled primarily by um, cooking and occasionally doing something on landscape like completing her film with Pine Leaf. And then Pine Leaf asked, Sans, have you done the skirmish tutorial on this character? And I was like, surely I had. Oops. He's got a shining ring over his head. I guess I better talk to the skirmish captain. So I unlocked skirmishing on my level 53 Guardian after actually spending trait points because it was a you have to respec. And then we skirmished on the field trip, and it was kind of fun. And I think I played in Redline the whole time with a two-handed club, which was kind of fun. And only almost died twice, so that's pretty good. Though we did fail one of the skirmishes because well, I'm not sure if I'm the one who triggered the boss or if the skirmish soldier that somebody else had out triggered the boss. But we accidentally triggered the boss too fast in the uh what is that fight called, Pine Leaf?
You mean Attack at
Attack
Dawn?
at Dawn? Yeah, that one. And a scout escaped with the knowledge of where Estildine was. Horror of horrors. The
That's
best,
super,
worst kept
super secret.
secret.
Yes.
Uh, and so, yeah, that was the end of that one. But that was pretty fun. And I played some ESO with Grandis and enjoyed the new encounters and kind of interesting to do an NPC protection quest in like a massive swarm of players. Uh,
Yeah.
but it worked out pretty well. At least the two ones that I did. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I
And that
just
was a
wonder how
really
grandma will
interesting.
feel.
I think Grandma was feeling more herself when I left, but that was an interesting take on Red Riding Hood esque type situation. And then I picked up Pal World on sale and have been really enjoying it. I was a little bit skeptical when I started, but it's been pretty fun. So that was pretty much my week. How was your week, Pineleaf?
All right, we'll begin with my champion, where this was a week for the Hardened Traveler group, and I completely forgot about it until the following day. So I need to make up time for it. Actually, in a way, it was a makeup week anyway, because we had decided that for this week we were mainly going to focus on doing side quests so that we could get up to level 82. So since Wednesday, then I've been doing missions. And in these missions, the Gundabad missions, partly in order to work on see if I could get the goat on the character, and partly in order to get up to level 82. I did make it to level 82, and I'm halfway through the list of Gundabad missions. And so far, things are mainly pretty well. I managed to survive everything, but a couple of them were really, really dodgy. And I guess that shows you how much nastier it gets when you are at difficulty 2, because the character is set for difficulty 2, since that's part of the theme of the Hardened Traveler, is to have the difficulty raised up on the character. And some of those solo missions can get tough if they have tactical damage in there. Like there's one that has frost damage coming on there, and that frost damage can get really, really nasty as you bump up the difficulty in there. I don't think I could go above 2, and I don't like difficulty 3 anyway, because I don't like the Eye of Sauron mechanic. And it looks like that all I'm going to be able to handle is difficulty 2 anyway, because I was on a sliver on a couple of occasions on that. But I did get through 3 days worth of it, and I think the highlight of it is that I managed to get both riddles from the foregone trap in a single guess each, which, because in the foregone trap, usually it takes me several guesses in order to get both of those, or sometimes I have to go through several riddles, but be able to get both of those riddles in one guess is really nice. I think it might even be the first time I've successfully done that. As for the field trip, we ran some skirmishes with some 50-ish characters, as Sans said, and we haven't played these characters in quite a while, so it's sort of like dusting them off, making sure that we have the proper LIs on them, making sure that we get those fireworks that have been turned into baubles since then, out of our inventory and into a proper place. And then we ran Storm on Meth Address, Thievery and Mischief, and then, of course, that ill-fated run of Attack at Dawn. I dusted off my Mariner, and at first we were planning on running this for the field trip, but after the field trip, I decided that maybe I need to get this character to finish up on the Song of Ways and Wind. Previously, this character had gone up to the end of the chapter relating to the Ikerban Valley. So I've managed to finish that part of the Song of Ways and Wind, but I had yet to do the part of where you go into Murjala. So what I did is I finished up my affairs in the Ikerban Valley, either closed out the quests I wanted to close out, and canceled the ones that I wasn't interested in closing out. Then reported in to pick up the next chapter of the Song of Ways and Wind, so that I'll be all ready probably tomorrow in order to actually start to play and finish up that particular series in there. So I think my Mariner is the appropriate one to do this. It's a storyline, of course, it's going to be all about ships at the end anyway, that I think is perfect for a Mariner. And that's it for my week in LOTRO. We currently have 12 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the Night's Patreon support, where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. If you wish to support without joining Patreon, you can send an email to drac@lotrplayers.com. And also a special thank you to our newest patron, Tobold, on Glamdring. And if you'd like to send us any feedback, you can send it to podcast@lotrplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we record LOTRO Players News and re-record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You guys join for our shows at lotrplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. Then this is Piney Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.